Good news, my lower unit isn't leaking oil anymore. So we got that problem solved. But then I noticed my batteries weren't charging up. So I do a little test on those, and it turns out two of my batteries are completely trashed. I couldn't go fishing this weekend because I don't have any batteries in my boat. I had to go buy new ones. You know, the old saying is boat means break out another thousand, which is really true. Unfortunately, this time of year, we don't have many days to go fishing. So I'll have my batteries in there in time, plenty enough time to go fishing. And while that's kind of a bummer, it does allow you to go through your equipment and get it ready for the upcoming season, which is what I'm in the process of doing now. Today, I want to take you through some of my most favorite rod and reel fishing combos. Probably my favorite rod and reel combo that I have is this Dobyns Champion Extreme 7-foot medium heavy action rod. I paired it with a 13 fishing Concept A reel. The speed is 8:1:1. And I really like this combo for throwing the light jigs. I throw these light jigs a lot, especially in clear water around these parts, central Oklahoma. And I really do like this rod for that. It has a nice soft tip so you can cast them easily, but it also has enough backbone where you can set the hook into a fish with no problems at all. The number one rod that I like is this Dobyns Champion Extreme 7-foot medium heavy action rod. In fact, I like that rod so much that I bought one for to throw Senkos on, weightless Senkos on. But this one is the Fury series 7-foot medium heavy action rod. And while it's a considerably cheaper than the Champion rod, it has great performance on it. I'd highly recommend this rod as well. Either one actually would be good. But this one's a lot cheaper and more readily available. I got this one at Academy. So anyway, I'm a big fan. This is my second favorite rod and reel combo. Oh, I just have a pro qualifier reel on that. But I really do enjoy this rod. Again, it has a soft tip where you can make accurate casts with a weightless bait. But it has enough backbone where you can really set the hook, get a good hook set on the fish. I was using the Duckett Micro Magic 7.3 medium heavy. I went through this phase, probably like a lot of people did with the micro guides. And after having those for a few years in my boat, I decided that I absolutely hated them. They're just hard to deal with, and there's a lot of different reasons. There's a lot of advantages and disadvantages of having micro guides, but I decided that for me, I didn't want them anymore. And with this particular rod, I was fishing Senkos with, and I just could never get a really good hookup with the fish. I don't know, I lost a whole lot of fish when I was using this rod. I don't know if it was a rod or me or whatever, but for some reason I just wasn't getting good hookups with this rod throwing a Senko. So because of that and because of the micro guides, I went ahead and retired this rod. Probably ought to sell it. One of the main reasons that I don't like fishing micro guides anymore is because I like to have a braid on my main line, and I could do a fluorocarbon or just a mono leader. And you can't do that with the micro guides because they're too small for the knot to pass through. I've learned how to tie that FG knot. If you want to watch a good video on the FG knot, go search for Mark Davis, tie the FG knot. He does a really good explanation of how to do that online. He just sitting in his boat. But because that knot is harder to tie, I usually put like a 12-foot leader on here or longer. That way I don't have to retie a whole lot. I don't have to tie the FG knot a lot when I'm out in the boat, because I just think if you're in your boat and it was cold and you had gloves on, there's basically no way you could tie the FG knot in your if it in those conditions. So for that reason, I I tie FG knot to connect the two lines together, and then I have a really, really long leader, so I don't ever have to retie that knot until I'm at home in a controlled environment, and I'll have a really good time to test it and everything. Another one of my favorite combos, just for general pitching, casting around brush and stuff while you're out bass fishing, general flipping and pitching stuff. I got this Dobyns Champion Extreme 7'4" heavy action rod. So, and I got this with the Quantum Smoke Reel, 8 1-to-1, so super fast reel, high speed reel. I really like this rod. I really like these Champion Extreme rods because they're super light. And the older I got, the more my shoulders started hurting when I was using the heavier rods. So these rods, the Champion Extreme rods, they're pretty light, even though they have the full grip, and I do actually like that better. This one has the full grip, and I actually like it. I like that style better. But the overall rod is really light, and after a long day of fishing, I can really tell if I'm using heavier rod or a lighter rod. So it makes a big difference. Also, these rods are super sensitive, and they have a lifetime warranty. I mean, there's a lot of good things about these rods, but main thing that they're super light and super sensitive, and for me that just makes a good rod. If you're trying to decide between whether you want to spend the money, the majority of your money on a rod, or the majority of your money on a reel, my suggestion is always spend as much as you can on the rod, and then skimp on the reel part. The rod is the main connection between you and the fish, so you want that to be as sensitive as you can get. The reel, pretty much any reel will do. The cheaper you get, the less time it'll last. So you may have to replace a reel every so often if you buy a cheaper reel. But the rod is where you really want to spend your money, because that's where it's really going to make the most importance. Like I say, the reels, they'll all have fairly decent drags. They'll cast well, and the performances will be good, but they'll just wear out sooner the cheaper reel you get. So if you want to skimp, if you're going to, your budget conscience, you want to spend the most money you can on a rod and try to save the money on a reel. My last Dobyns rod that I have is this 7'9" medium heavy flipping rod. It's a Dobyns Champion Extreme again. And this rod right here is a pretty specific purpose, and that's for pitching really heavy matted grass and vegetation. A few of the lakes around where I live, we have a really thick grass mats in the summertime. So this rod right here would come in perfect for those type of situations. Or if you're in like some super heavy trees or just really heavy brush, this is really a good rod to use. Also, with the extra length, you can also flip, and that's really good when you want to try to be stealthy, when the fish are up shallow. But this rod is really just, it's really a close quarters, heavy cover type of fishing rod, where you really need a lot of horse and a lot of backbone to get the fish out of heavy cover really fast. On this one, again, I have braid to a leader, and I think I have like 25 or 30 pound mono leader on here. The reason I have mono on this one instead of fluorocarbon, because it gives me a little bit more stretch. Like I say, with this particular rod right here, when the fish bites, I have to set the hook you want to set the hook about as hard as you can. So you want just a little bit of give. There's no give, of course, in the braid. So you want just a little bit of give, I think, in your main line. And that's why I use monofilament big game for this. I'm pretty sure this is 25 pound big game. So that's why I use like a big game leader for this particular rod. All the rest of the rods I use fluorocarbon leader, but those rods are not going to be horsing fish nearly as hard as I would with this one. My favorite kind of fishing, and my fishing partner always makes fun of me because all I do is throw a crankbait. And I absolutely love crankbait fishing, and I absolutely love throwing a square bill crankbait. This 1.5, that's really like what our 2.5 KVD, KVD Strike King square bill. That's what I throw a lot, but it doesn't have to be necessarily that particular bait, but just any square bill in that size and that depth range. That's what I throw the majority of the time. And I really, really, really like throwing a crankbait. Like pretty much that's what I throw the majority of the time. If I have a chance to throw it, I will be throwing it. The only time I wouldn't throw a crankbait is in grass. And then even then, I'll play around with my line diameter to see if I can get it to not go as deep or go a little bit deeper or whatever I need. Because I really like throwing a crankbait. They catch a lot of fish and I get to fish fast. My partner, he's a slow fisherman. And he always gets mad at me because I'm on the trolling motor burning down the bank. And he wants to throw a worm or something. I'm like, I'm just cruising pretty much as fast as I can. So anyway, I really like throwing a crankbait. This has been my crankbait rod for a long time, or my square bill crankbait rod for a long time. And I really do like it. It's a Tour KVD Signature E-Series rod. It's a 7-foot medium action Quantum KVD crankbait rod. I mean, it's just a pretty standard rod. It's a little bit heavy. It's not good in that case, but it has a really nice action to it. I think it's a mixture of fiberglass and graphite. So it really has a nice action. It has a slow tip, so it lets the fish go ahead and grab the bait. It just really has a nice backbone where you can, it's just a great overall rod for fishing square bills. I really like it. For last year, I tried the braid on this with the fluorocarbon leader. I didn't like it as much at all. With the braid, I guess I'm just not as good at casting it. Or I don't know, I don't like the way it casts. When you're trying to make a bomb cast, I'd rather have like mono or some lighter fluorocarbon. But this is what I throw probably one of my favorite rods and most used rods for sure, because I like fishing a crankbait so much. I just have this matched up with the Lew's Tournament Series, probably a 6-3-1 reel. I don't even know what these reels are really. That's what I throw my square bills on. One of my other most favorite rods that I have is this Carrot Stick. I don't even know if it's an E21 Carrot Stick, 7'3", medium heavy action rod. I don't even think they make these rods anymore because they had a lot of problems with them breaking. But I've caught numerous. I've had this rod for probably 10 years or so. Obviously it's never broken. And to me, it's just a great all-around rod. It's super light. Again, it has just the regular guides on there. It's not the micro guide stuff. And this rod has just been with me, and I have a lot of trust in it, and has been for a long time. I don't even know if you can get one anymore. I just have this paired up with the Shimano Corrado, probably one of the most classic reels of all time, and most popular reels of all time. I used to carry at least one spinning rod in the boat. I really would rather not ever have a spinning rod in the boat, but sometimes they just seem to be able to catch fish when be able to use a smaller bait and catch more fish than you would ordinarily. And sometimes you're just trying to get bites, So to be honest with you, this is just this rod is just a Fenwick. This is basically a Walmart medium heavy 7-foot action rod. And this is a Walmart, it's a Mitchell reel that I got. I guarantee I got this at Walmart. And none of this is that expensive stuff. I just wouldn't spend that much on a spinning rod because I'm not just a huge fan. And I put braid on them anyway and do the fluorocarbon leader. So I don't really just need the most oversensitive rod that there is, because the braid is just more sensitive than everything else. This is what I use as far as the spinning rod goes. Again, I use a braid, a fluorocarbon, and mainly what I do on the spinning reels is I like to throw Wacky Rig Senkos. But again, for me, I'm not just a huge spinning reel guy, not a huge drop shotter. I'll throw a shaky head on occasions. I used to throw it a lot, but I was always getting killed in tournaments because I was fishing a shaky head, and everybody else was. I was weighing in 1.5 pounders. Everybody else was weighing in 3 or 4 pounders. So I decided the shaky head, while it gets you more bites, it's not going to win you any money. It might be a good something good to take out, and for the day if you want to get a lot of bites or whatever. But if you're fishing in a tournament and you're fishing a shaky head, especially around these parts, you're pretty much you're not gonna do very good at all. Generally, I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule, of course, but that's why I don't fish a shaky head just a lot anymore. But I do like throwing the Wacky Rig Cinco. Last rod I'm going to show you guys today, although I have, just like every other fisherman, I got about 30 other rods in the, in the quill that I can take out whenever I want to go fishing. But these are just, again, are some of my favorite ones. And this one's been with me for a long time, and it's just become a really good all-purpose rod. And it's good and stout, and that's why I like throwing my spinner baits and chatter baits on it. And that is a Falcon Cara 6-foot 10-inch rod, and this one's heavy. And I believe that they would call this one a head turner. I believe that's what the name of it is now. The reason I like throwing spinner baits and chatter baits on this is because it has a little bit of a smaller handle. When you're up trying to roll cast and stuff, I really just don't like a really long handle like some of these have. I used to have an old pistol grip rod that I absolutely love for spinner baits, and I used to tube fish with it, and it was my favorite rod because it was easy to maneuver in a tube. But anyway, the handle used to actually go right here. It was so short, but it was so easy to maneuver and to whip the baits up underneath little brushes and stuff. And that's really what I like in a spinnerbait rod, because to me, generally, I'm fishing around trees and stumps and sticks and stuff like that, and I want to have as much accuracy as possible. And I don't like this handle interfering with my ability to cast. So that's one of the main reasons that I use this Falcon Cara rod, the heavy one. Again, it has a lot of backbone, and you can make good long cast with it. And it's just a really good versatile rod, and I found it to be perfect for throwing spinner baits and chatter baits. I have this with the Okuma Komodo reel. That's the reel I have on it. When I got this reel, I was super excited about it, and I don't like it that much. I've had it a few years, and to be honest with you, I just don't like this reel just a whole lot. So I wouldn't recommend the Okuma Komodo reel if they even make it anymore. I would definitely go with something else. This booger was pretty expensive of what I can remember, and I don't know, it just seems to backlash a lot. I don't care for it a whole lot. That's a look at a few of my favorite fishing rods that I like to take with me fishing. Generally, these that I just leave out on the deck of my boat, and they're with me at all times. I don't ever put them up or put them away because they always wind up on my deck. So hopefully you enjoyed the video today. Hopefully you learned a little bit of something. If you like this video, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.